Every miracle you've tasted might be bait. Beautiful, fragrant bait. Want to see the hook still in your mouth? Listen closely, because the trap never shouts. It flatters. It arrives ribbon, wrapped as answered prayers, as sudden breaks, as glittering synchronicities that feel like destiny smiling. You celebrate. And you should. Gratitude softens the heart. But somewhere under the celebration, a thin wire tightens. The win is real, the sweetness is real, and yet something in you won't land, as if the gift keeps asking for rent. You know that feeling. The quiet after the applause, the room still bright, but the air slightly colder, the promise fulfilled, and a new price quietly posted on the wall. This is where the clever net lives, not in obvious errors, but in successes that keep you orbiting the same center. Polished, praised, progressing, yet never free. The base isn't evil, it's just efficient. It learns your favorite flavors, validation, relief, belonging, speed, and seasons the hook accordingly. Ask yourself, gently, honestly, did the miracle return you to yourself, or recruit you to the performance of yourself? Did it widen your mercy, steady your character, clear your sight, or did it simply upgrade the costume of your restlessness? Be careful with the answers, because flattery is a fog. It replaces depth with shine, patience with speed, meaning with momentum. And momentum, when worshipped, becomes a treadmill disguised as a highway. There is a market for awakenings, a bright bazaar of language and light, and it will sell you what you already are, just marked up and rebranded. It will trade in your hunger and call it progress. It will tell you this next insight, this next altar of attention, this next label will complete you. And for a while, it does, until the quiet returns, tapping the window. Is this peace or packaging? Is this clarity or choreography? You feel the question rising, and the market raises its music to drown it out. Look closer. The bait always asks for one thing in exchange: your dependence. Not faith in the unseen, not trust in what is right and true. Dependence on it, on the next sign, the next fix, the next proof. It teaches you to outsource your center, and then calls that outsourcing alignment. That is how the hook hides, inside compliments you think you need, inside labels you worked hard to earn, inside stories that make you the hero, but quietly remove your spine. Here is the tell. When the gift is clean, it leaves you lighter. When the bait is hidden, it leaves you louder. Clean gifts deepen your humility. Bait inflates your costume. Clean gifts sharpen your conscience. Bait sharpens your appetite. Clean gifts make you less reactive. Bait makes you theatrical. Dramatic highs, dramatic lows, dramatic exits, then dramatic returns. Round and round, shiny and tired. If this stings, breathe with the truth of it. Not to perform calm, but to admit recognition. You are not being punished. You are being warned. Lovingly. The most dangerous trap isn't failure. It's successful captivity. Golden, perfumed, applauded, but captivity all the same. And the most dangerous line you can speak inside that captivity is, I have arrived. Arrival talk is how the net tightens. Pride is the knot that won't slip. So hear this, with the weight it deserves. Not every bright thing is safe. Not every swift thing is right. Not every miracle is medicine. Some are merely mirrors, curved to flatter, tilted to capture. And if you feel a small, honest tremor inside your chest right now, that tremor is good. That tremor is the part of you that cannot be bought. The part that whispers, I was made for truth, not theater. Stay with that whisper, because from here on we don't chase the bait. We study the hook, its shine, its angles, its favorite disguises, until glitter loses its spell. and you can finally taste sweetness without swallowing the line. Here's the hardest part to accept. The trap prefers beauty over brutality. It won't push you, it will praise you. It won't break your door, it will hang medals on your wall until the weight bends your neck. And every time you look up for relief, another ribbon appears, applause becomes architecture. Compliments become corridors. Soon you are walking a palace of mirrors that reflect you 1,000 times, each reflection brighter than the last, while the exit stays politely out of frame. Listen to the difference. Truth quiets you. Spectacle amplifies you. Truth steadies your heart. Spectacle edits your personality into a highlight reel. Truth deepens your sincerity. Spectacle deepens your brand. The machine understands this hunger for shine and feeds it, carefully, endlessly, so your calendar stays full and your conscience stays. Busy is the anesthesia of captivity. There are currents in this world, subtle tides of time, season, and story that nudge choices, magnify moods, and shape crowds. Their job is balance, not liberation. Win too wildly in one corner, and another corner starts to flicker. You'll call it bad luck. The brochure calls it harmony. The machine loves harmony that keeps you looping, because a loop looks tidy in the report. It looks responsible. And you, careful soul, don't want to be irresponsible, do you? Now watch how the bait learns. If you crave belonging, it offers circles that adore your vocabulary. If you crave certainty, it offers frameworks with names so confident they almost glow. If you crave speed, it offers shortcuts that feel like destiny delivered by courier. None of these are evil on their face, but ask the question that never gets printed on the poster. Does this make me more honest or more dependent? If the answer is dependent, smiling, elegant, premium dependence, you have found the hook. You will notice another tell. Real gifts reduce your performance requirements. Counterfeit gifts increase your maintenance schedule. Real gifts make you simpler. Counterfeits make you complicated. More image to curate, more persona to defend, more narratives to keep perfectly aligned. So the applause doesn't stutter. It's exhausting to keep a costume breathing. And exhaustion is how the machine convinces you to purchase even shinier batteries. Be careful with borrowed language that flatters your impatience. Words can be ladders or leashes. When a phrase makes you feel superior instead of sincere, it isn't wisdom. It's wardrobe. When a slogan replaces examination with excitement, it isn't guidance, it's glitter. And glitter is loyal to whoever pays the lighting bill, not to the part of you that still bows to what is right and true. Understand this with a calm mind. The one reality is not a marketplace, and sincerity is not for sale. You cannot buy depth by stacking labels. You cannot lease integrity with monthly affirmations. What is real does not invoice you. It leaves you lighter, straighter, kinder without a subscription. If something keeps needing renewal to keep your soul upright, it is merchandise, not medicine. So let the mirrors be mirrors, let the machine hum in the distance. You do not need a war with reflections. You need a fidelity to what survives when the lights are off. If a promise only shines under bright music, it was never yours. If a miracle demands a performance to remain, it was never a gift. And if praise becomes the price of your peace, the bargain is too expensive, no matter how beautifully it's wrapped. Here is the lure with the softest hands, the feeling of arrival. Not truth, the feeling of truth. A warm, perfumed hush that says, "You've made it. No more questions." It dresses like peace, speaks like victory, and smiles like closure. And yet, listen beneath the silk. There's a faint mechanical hum, a quiet meter running, as if your calm is being rented by the hour. That is not arrival. That is anesthesia with better lighting. Counterfeit Arrival loves trophies that don't travel well. Remove the stage, the circle, the perfect language, and watch what remains. If your steadiness leaks when the spotlight goes dark, You were steady for the light, not for the real. If your clarity depends on agreement, it was never clarity. It was choreography. The market sells choreography as enlightenment because choreography looks wonderful on camera. But cameras can't film conscience. Ask the question the mirrors avoid. What survives without witnesses? Not applause, not metrics, not borrowed certainties. What remains when nobody is looking? That is your measurement. If the so-called breakthrough only breaks through in public, it's a costume change, not a crossing. Costumes are fine for theater. They are fatal for direction. Notice how the counterfeit rewards volume over weight. It prefers the sentence that sparkles to the one that steadies, the posture that photographs to the posture that endures. It teaches you to curate emotions for export and neglect the quiet craft of character. And character, quiet, stubborn, unfashionable character, is the one thing the machine cannot counterfeit for long. It tries, it tries. But time keeps pulling the thread. There is a simpler test than any doctrine. Does this make me truer or louder? Truer means fewer disguises, fewer bargains, fewer emergency explanations. Louder means more performance, more props, more scripted sincerity to keep the illusion from tipping. Truer leaves you with a cleaner yes and a cleaner no. Louder leaves you with a longer maybe and a calendar full of evasions dressed as opportunities. Be wary of vocabulary that flatters you into sleep. Some words gleam like coins, but spend like sand. They buy attention, not alignment. They purchase followers, not backbone. When a term begins to demand loyalty to the brand over loyalty to the right, retire the term. Language is a servant of meaning. When it becomes a mascot, it stops telling the truth and starts selling it. Understand this without drama. Dependence is the signature of the hook, not devotion to the one, not humble reliance on what is sacred, and right dependence on the dispenser. The next fix, the next sign, the next badge that allows you to feel legitimate for another week. This is how captivity upgrades itself, by renting you permission to be yourself. And rented permission always comes with late fees. So let us strip the scene of glitter and see what stands. Strip the compliments. Does your center wobble, or does it breathe? Strip the audience. Does your voice falter, or does it grow honest? Strip the title. Do you shrink, or do you simply continue? If removal reveals emptiness, then the arrival was a set, not a place. Sets are built to be struck. Places remain. Here is the quiet mercy. The real does not panic when questioned. It does not need smoke machines or swelling music. It does not punish you for peeking backstage. The real invites examination. Because examination is how pretense dies. And when pretense dies, you do not become smaller. You become simpler. Simpler is stronger. Simpler is harder to buy. Simpler is how the hook slips from the mouth, without a scene, without a speech. Just a soft click, and freedom where the tug used to be. Power, real power, doesn't need a spotlight. Counterfeit power travels with a lighting crew. Watch how the shiny message always arrives with invoices. Attention you must pay. Personalities you must please. Aesthetics you must maintain so your clarity keeps its glow. That is not clarity, that is lighting. And lighting is expensive. The heart knows the difference. The heart can feel when peace is being rented by the hour, and when peace is given without a bill. Dependence is the quiet tax on every counterfeit miracle. Not faith in the unseen, not trust in what is right, dependence on a dispenser. The next badge, the next language pack, the next dramatic reveal that buys you 7 more days of feeling legitimate. Notice the pattern as the props multiply. Your center thins. As the titles rise, your tolerance for silence falls. As the image hardens, sincerity starts to whisper, is this still me? Or am I performing a version of me that the room prefers? There is a reason the marketplace sells speed over steadiness. Speed keeps you reactive, steadiness makes you selective. Speed says, hurry or you'll miss it. Steadiness says if it is true, it will still be true tomorrow. Speed inflates appetites, steadiness refines motives. And motives, cleaned of vanity and panic, are harder to manipulate. The machine fears clean motives, because clean motives don't buy noise. Be careful with specialness. Specialness is just loneliness wearing perfume. It divides you from the ordinary virtues that actually carry a life: honesty, patience, fairness, restraint. These don't photograph well, but they outlast storms. The hook loves specialness because it isolates you, first from counsel, then from correction, finally from reality. Until applause becomes your only mirror, and applause, for all its volume, cannot tell you the truth. Here's a simpler measurement than any mystic chart. What would remain if your audience vanished? Would you keep the same promises at the same pace? With the same care? If not, then attention, not integrity, was doing the heavy lifting. And when attention is your backbone, every room becomes a courtroom. You beg the jury to keep loving your performance and call the verdict purpose. Understand this without rage, without theater. What is true is never threatened by inspection. Truth invites daylight. It welcomes question. It survives the end of fashion, the collapse of trends, the boredom of those who only love loud. And because it survives, it frees you from scrambling. Scrambling is the choreography of dependence. Calm commitment is the walk of someone who no longer rents legitimacy from strangers. So let the glitter pass through your hands. Bless what is beautiful, yes. But do not kneel to what is merely bright. Beauty can be a sign. Brightness is often a sale. If a promise needs constant marketing to stay alive, it is not a promise, it is a product. And if it is a product, it will ask you to keep buying yourself. That is the most expensive purchase a soul can make. Paying and again for permission to be the person you already are, when no one is looking. Hold to this line like a lifeline. Clean truth makes you quieter, kinder, harder to buy. If anything makes you louder, harsher, easier to purchase, it is not lifting you, it is leasing you. And leased lives end in collections. Better to return the costume early than to lose yourself in the contract. Better to be small and honest than famous and for sale. There is a moment quiet, almost private, when the noise finally runs out of synonyms and silence refuses to bargain. No more rehearsed certainties, no more heroic captions, no more rented thunder, just you. And the question that cannot be bribed, is this honest? Not, does this impress? Not, does this trend? Is this honest? The counterfeit hates that word. It can mimic almost anything. But honesty starves it. Without performance to feed on, the hook has nothing to grip. Watch how the trap tries to survive that famine. It tells you that nuance is weakness, that subtlety is fear, that patience is failure dressed as manners. It tells you to turn your life into a spectacle. So no one asks whether there is a life underneath the lights. But there is a rule older than every slogan. What contradicts your conscience will eventually contradict your peace. You can outrun the mirror for months. You cannot outrun the bruise it leaves. The bruise returns when the room empties. It asks for a conversation that bright rooms never allow. Understand this without theatrics. The clean path never asks you to injure your word to protect your image. The clean path never demands a costume to keep your worth from falling. The clean path is stubbornly ordinary truth, told when it is expensive, promises kept when no one is counting, boundaries held without a parade. These are not glamorous, they are granite. Granite does not sparkle, it stands. And standing is what the hook cannot counterfeit for long. You will hear elegant invitations to betray yourself just this once. The sentence always sounds reasonable. It always borrows the vocabulary of virtue to smuggle convenience through your guard. But examine the harvest. Each small betrayal breeds a slightly cheaper version of you. Louder, quicker to justify, slower to apologize. This is how the trap wins without ever raising its voice, one discounted choice at a time, until the bill looks like fate. There is a simpler lens than any system with complicated diagrams. Does this choice make me more dependable to the truth I claim to serve. Not more dramatic, not more visible, more dependable. Dependable is quiet strength. It doesn't chase witnesses because it keeps its word regardless. And nothing terrifies the counterfeit like a person who will not sell their yes, who will not rent their no, who will not soften a boundary just because the crowd prefers a blur. Remember, attention is a weather pattern. Character is climate. Weather can surprise you. Climate tells you what to plant. If you keep planting in applause, your harvest will be moods. If you plant in integrity, the harvest is peace that does not check the sky. That kind of peace does not make headlines. It makes homes inside your chest, where decisions stop trembling. So let the silence do its work. Let it ask the expensive questions, and wait until your answers stop posing. If a story you're telling cannot stand there, barefoot, unlit, uncheered, let it pass. If a title requires an apology from your conscience to stay shiny, return it with thanks. What is real will remain after you stop negotiating. What is real will still be real when nobody claps. And when that happens, when the need for spectacle finally exhales, you will feel something unmistakable, not a rush, a settling. The ground rising to meet your feet, the lines slipping from the mouth. The room at last, clear. Here's the measure. No spotlight can counterfeit. Weight, not heaviness. Weight, the gravity of what is real. Counterfeits float. They need music to feel important. Reality carries its own hush. When a thing is true, it lands with a soft authority. No drumroll. No smoke. Just a sense that the floor under your life got thicker. If a promise needs confetti to stand, it cannot stand. If a title needs a parade to matter, it does not matter. Weight tells the truth without raising its voice. Notice how appearances chase scale, while the real thing chooses depth. Scale begs for bigger stages, bigger claims, bigger fonts. Depth chooses a cleaner word, a fairer deal, a straighter back. Scale wants numbers. Depth wants witness. Not the crowd's witness, the witness of your own conscience when the room is silent. Ask it quietly, is this solid? Or shiny stirs you? Solid steadies you, shiny speeds you up, solid slows you down just enough to hear the part of you that cannot be sold. Counterfeits love crisis, because crisis makes you purchase speed. They weaponize urgency, now or never. Last chance, limited time truth, until you forget that what is right does not expire at midnight. Watch the invoice attached to urgency, nerves, noise, narrowness. The path of integrity is not hysterical, it is precise. Precision doesn't shout, it points. And when something points without panic, you can finally check the map instead of sprinting in circles and calling the circle fate. There's a quieter hazard you must name, admiration as anesthesia. The room adores you, and in that perfume, you stop asking better questions. Appreciation is a mercy. Adoration is a fog. The fog blurs the line between being respected and being depended on for a performance. When the line blurs, you start protecting the performance instead of protecting the truth. That is how a platform becomes a trap, one careful compromise at a time, each justified by applause that arrives right on cue. Understand this with calm spine. The real will never ask you to trade conscience for reach. The real will never say, keep the metric, lose the mirror. The real does not demand the humiliation of your word to keep your image intact. If an opportunity insists that you become a slightly less honest version of yourself to do more good, it is not an opportunity, it is a test. And the test is simple, even when the stakes are not. Choose the truth, and let the numbers do what numbers do. Beware also of sophistication that sneers at sincerity. There is a fashion for clever doubt, smiling, precise, devastating, that can dismantle anything except its own hunger to win the room. Sincerity will never be fashionable with cynics, but it outlives them. It outlives trends too, when the cleverness burns off. Sincerity is what keeps your name clean in the dark, what lets you sleep without needing a speech to explain yourself to yourself. So let your life grow heavier in the right way. heavier with kept promises, heavier with fair dealings, heavier with words that cost you something to say, and were still worth saying. Not theatrical weight. Moral weight, the kind that doesn't need a caption. The kind that would survive if the cameras blinked out and the platforms went dim. That weight is a shield you don't have to hold up. It holds you. And if you feel a small strengthening as you hear this, a quiet click where excuses used to rattle, honor it. You are not becoming harsh, you are becoming clear. Clear people are harder to buy, slower to flatter, quicker to make amends. Clear people break fewer things on their way to victory because they are not sprinting for an exit that doesn't exist. They walk, and walking, step by clean step, is how the line loosens from the mouth, until what once tugged you becomes just a story you tell, without longing, without fear, and without the hook. There is a freedom that begins where labels end. Not because names are wrong, names can be useful, but because names grow heavy when they become substitutes for substance. Watch how easily a title can eclipse a task. How quickly a role can outshine a responsibility. The hook loves that swap. It will sell you a gleaming identity and quietly repossess the very duty that made the identity meaningful. Listen closely. The real does not need you to be impressive. It needs you to be accurate. Accurate with your word. Accurate with your promises. Accurate with your measure of yourself when praise walks in and when praise walks out. Accuracy is unglamorous. It does not trend. It does not sparkle on command. But accuracy is what keeps a soul from drifting into performance and calling the drift destiny. You will be offered shortcuts that smell like destiny phrases, polished to a shine, endorsements dressed as wisdom, crowds that echo your favorite sentences back to you with perfect rhythm. Echoes are sweet, but they do not build anything. Building requires the quiet courage of consistency. Consistency is not loud. It does not ask for applause, it asks for return. Return to what is right when novelty yawns. Return to fairness when advantage whispers. Return to humility when good fortune arrives wearing confetti. Be vigilant when admiration tries to purchase your boundaries. It pays in compliments and collects in compromises. One day you notice you've become a curator of impressions, smoothing edges, rounding truths, avoiding the unphotogenic parts of sincerity. That is how reality is traded for reputation. One gentle edit at a time. Reputation can be a blessing, but when it outranks reality, it becomes a leash. Understand this without bitterness. Growth is not a fireworks show. It is a ledger. Line by line, day by day, it records whether your choices honor what you claim to serve. It accepts patience, repair, fairness, restraint. These coins are heavier than applause, but they do not devalue when fashions shift. They hold. They keep. Here's a clear sign you are slipping the hook. You stop needing to win the room, to do the right thing in the room. The temperature of approval rises and falls, and you remain steady. Offers come wrapped in flattery. And you read the terms, not the ribbon. Pressure arrives disguised as urgency. And you answer with proportion, not panic. This is not indifference. This is mastery of direction. Direction that does not rent its compass from strangers. Let the names fade if they must. Let the banners dim. Let the slogans rest. When the decorations are quiet, what remains is the work. Simple, steady, honorable. Work that does not injure conscience. Work that does not mortgage tomorrow for the thrill of today. Work that would be the same if no one ever knew your name. That is where the counterfeits go silent. They cannot imitate a life that no longer needs their stage. And if you feel right now a small unclenching, as if a knot inside your chest just loosened without a speech, take note. You are remembering a truth the bright rooms taught you to forget. You were never the product. You were always the person. Products must perform to be loved. Persons can stand, speak plainly, and let the real do the heavy lifting time was always meant to do. When names fade and work remains, the mirror stops negotiating, and the hook runs out of places to hide. This is where the glitter ends and the ground begins. No fireworks, no borrowed thunder. Just a door you can finally see because your eyes are no longer busy chasing light. The hook. It only lived where your hunger needed an audience. The line. It only held where your worth rented permission to breathe. Now, the room is quiet, and in that quiet, the most important recognition arrives. You were never the product. You were always the person, not a brand, not a costume. A person whose word can stand without a stage. Hear this with a steady heart. Not every miracle was bait. Some were clean, some were mercy. But the counterfeits are done ruling your calendar. The machine can keep its deadlines. Your soul is done with invoices. The names can fade, the work remains. And in the work simple, honest, properly measured, you are hard to buy, easy to trust, slow to boast, quick to repair. That is freedom's texture, not a rush, a settling, a spine that stops asking the crowd for instructions. If anything in you is shaking right now, let it be this, the part that believed you needed noise to be real. You don't. Truth travels without an entourage. It arrives light, but it lands heavy in the best way. Like a foundation you can actually build on. When the pressure tries to make you loud, choose clear. When the flattery tries to make you fast, choose fair. When the offer tries to make you bigger than your word, choose your word. Now, if this message found you, if some glitter just fell off and you don't miss it, seal it with witness. Type I see in the comments if you caught the bait's disguise. Type no hook if the line just slipped from your mouth. Type truth over shine if you're done renting legitimacy from applause. Subscribe if you want more work that respects your conscience more than your metrics. Share this with the one friend who won't be dazzled by the lights and will still choose what is right. Pin a promise below, one sentence, no theater. You intend to keep without an audience, not to perform. To remember, no rehearsed miracles, no purchased thunder. Just the clean gravity of what endures when music stops. This is your exit from the prettiest prison. This is your entrance to a life that doesn't need a spotlight to remain true. Walk through and don't look back.